Hey guys, it's Khalif, Fat Guy Skinny Wallet, and I'm here to do a video response for my man Herbie Sherman. Put up a video a few days ago asking should there be a law against overeating, a law to prevent overeating. The link to his video is on the screen and also in the description box. Go check it out because he received almost 100 comments, or at least going back and forth. So if you want to join the discussion, you can comment below and also go comment there and see what people were saying. But anyway, my take on it. Yes and no. And he said this would be like a hypothetical situation. Like, what if to buy food you had to have a certain card and the government was able to tell your calorie intake based on the way that you were purchasing food, or something like that. You know, it's a hypothetical thing. What if they could figure out who was overeating, or at least they had a proxy for that and they were to find people? The first thing you want to say is no. I'm all about freedom, and I believe that people have the freedom to do things as long as they're not hurting anyone else. And I'm talking about freedom as far as the law. I mean, when we talk about us being God's creation, it's a totally different thing. But as far as the law is concerned, you know, if you're doing something, if you're overeating, it has nothing to do with me. So, no, I don't think there should be a law banning people from buying, you know, large drinks. I don't think that there should be a law that says that you can only have a certain amount of food per person in your home, things like that. Or you can't buy certain types of food, depending on if you're considered overweight. So I don't think we should do that. But on the other hand, there's the side of the argument that says if the consequences of someone overeating and becoming obese become the problem of the government, which of course really means it's the problem of everyone who pays taxes, and even if you don't pay taxes, otherwise support and impacted by the government, then it becomes everyone's problem. You know, if you're overeating and then you have to get some type of surgery to correct an issue, or I have to then start paying taxes to cover your health care, or you know, anything like that, then you want to start saying, if these people are going to become a burden on society because of their actions, then we need to limit those actions that cause them to become a burden. You know, I think we would say that with anything, and I can't think of a really good example right now or a good analogy to use. But you know, just to say that if your actions become a burden on other people, especially society as a whole, then the government does have some impetus to step in and say, we are going to prevent you, or we are going to impose some restrictions or fines on you for doing these actions. So, in the one sense, I say no, because people are free to make their own mistakes, make their own decisions, and they'll just pay the consequences. But when those consequences start spilling over into society, and it's not just the consequences for the individual, but it's consequences for other people who aren't involved, then you have to start looking at limiting people's ability to make those decisions, or you know, do those things. So it's difficult to say, but because we're not talking about something that we have yet in place, because we can say yes or no, but then in 5 years, 7 years, when something is actually proposed, because the technology is there to monitor it, then we can fully examine it. But you know, from hypothetical situation, no, as long as the consequences are restricted to the individual. But once the consequences spill over, then we have to look at that. And very few things in life are contained. We don't live in a vacuum. You know, as an economist, at least by education, and my research background and training is in economics, you know, we run models and we always look at holding things constant. And we look at how one variable moves, and we have to hold everything else constant. And if we don't, the problem becomes insanely complicated mathematically. So if we're able to hold it constant, we can get an answer. but it's not as accurate because rarely are things held constant. Rarely is someone, in this case, overeating, and there's nothing else going on or nothing else changing in their life. The overeating probably is impacting their ability to work, the ability to function with their family, and impacting their health in such a way that they can't, do other things. So it is having an impact on their family, on their work, on their church, on their society, on their friends, and it does have that impact on a lot of people. Even though it's one person putting food into their mouths, it ends up spilling over into a lot of people. But once that cost becomes so great to society that it begins to hit people who aren't even near that person, then we really have to look at it and say something needs to be done. All right, guys. So, what do you think? Should it be regulated? Are there cases where the consequences spill over into the rest of society and start impacting tons of people negatively, and we still should back off and let people have their freedom? Or is there a point when the freedom aspect has to take a back seat to the greater good of society? And when is that the case? So let me know. Don't forget to check out Herb's video as well, and go over there and leave some comments there. And talk to you guys next time.